Now in its 10th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, live from Harlem in New York City, that's right here. I'm Alex, and this is the Ramble. Here is a guy who really doesn't want to be interviewed, right?
Right.
And what is the reason for that, Don Giller?
I could say self-loathing, but that's not really it.
Is it self-loathing?
No, it's not.
Because
it's just,
you know what's interesting about you is because you've called the Monday show, for example, and you call and you're very funny, and you're able to talk beautifully about stuff, and yet when it comes to a one-on-one, you just don't think you're worthy, do you?
No. One-on-one is I actually prefer one-on-one, but not as a formal thing as this. It just seems.
How is this formal?
Well, it's one-on-one on Zoom, and this is going out to all 20 viewers. And
all 20 viewers that I have, yeah. You're wising up to the sham I've been pulling off all these years. You know.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah. But it's strange. I mean, and you're very funny. You know, I wrote him and I said, okay, well, let's then do it on Thursday at 1:00. And your reply was, I'll shower. Now, you know, I mean, you're a very funny guy. Or do you think, or don't you think?
And silly as you noted in the park. That was well taken.
You are silly.
I am silly.
You like being silly, don't you?
I like being alone.
Now let's establish for people your credentials, okay? I notice in back of you a lot of boxes of tapes and things like that, right?
Yeah. Over there.
Yeah.
Are late show DVDs is what they are.
Late show DVDs, but they're DVDs that you made up, right? Or that somebody made a copy of.
No, they're I'm not sure how. Yes, copies that someone else made and I duplicated.
Right, and it's the Late Show.
Right, and then below there, let me see if I can pull.
Well, that's Late
correctly.
Night, right? And Late Show.
Yeah. The boxed stuff, which I'm trying to point.
Yeah, well, it's okay.
There.
Yeah, there. Yeah.
That's all late night stuff that I recorded.
Okay, now let's start in the beginning here because you, for I guess how many years have you been posting Letterman shows?
Oops, hang on. Something. Okay, I thought something just fell. On a focused basis since I suppose the fall of 15, I would say.
The fall of 15.
There are some isolated things as far back as 08, 09, but those were just little things here and there.
When I went to YouTube and I saw a Letterman show, it said Don Giller, and I asked Shecky while he was still alive. I said, "Who's Don Giller?" He says, "Oh, he's a fanboy who really does a good job of archiving of archiving the Letterman shows." Do you have every Letterman show?
Yes.
Every.
I'm missing 4 morning shows, and they may not exist anymore.
Really? Because I got a disc of the morning shows from Shecky, but I don't know if it was all. How many episodes were there?
90.
90, because it lasted what, 3 months or how long?
Yeah, June to October.
But
6,
let's
7,
say
8,
for
9,
late
10,
night and late
4
show,
months.
you have every show.
Yeah, it took years to acquire the late night footage, but the end of 17, I finally got the 2 remaining complete shows that I was missing.
Now, why did you choose to do Letterman as opposed to Leno or Ferguson or anybody else? I mean, what was it about Letterman that obsessed you?
Well, one, I have taped all of Ferguson, but I
Okay.
haven't did I've digitized little of it, um, and I'm no longer. I don't think I'm able to put anything up anymore. So, but yeah, no, I was a fan of Ferguson. I liked the show a lot.
Yeah.
I thought he approached the irreverence that I found so refreshing to see and hear.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
one of the other questions that I asked Shecky about you was, why doesn't Letterman stop him? And his answer was, it's too much trouble. You know, nobody's interested. Nobody seems to be interested.
well, I think that was before the Letterman channel launched, where they became official, and to my gratitude, they've kept my channel intact when they have every legal right to shut it down.
Yeah.
But they haven't, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I can't say a bad word about that.
Right.
That
Right.
um,
But have they stopped you from putting anything else up
yeah, since the launch, I'm no longer able to put anything up without their permission.
without their permission?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have their permission to put anything up?
I haven't asked them. I've put up a couple things that really didn't violate their their ask.
Hmm.
Uh, for like the little 1 minute Shecky thing tribute that I put up,
Yeah.
I made sure to include only screen captures and music that was unrelated to the show, but I
Right.
thought very much relatable to Rick.
Right.
And I asked, I sent them the footage and asked if it was okay, and I was said, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'll ask them stuff, and um,
Now, did
it
they
depends.
ever complain to YouTube about your stuff?
Not that I'm aware.
Yeah.
Um, what happened there in the past? There have been a couple uploads uh, that they would call me.
Mm-hmm.
The Worldwide Pants people would call me and ask if I would take it down, and and that's a far cry from them instructing YouTube to take it down.
Mm-hmm.
It's a far more, I was going to say polite. That's not the right word. A gracious way of operating.
Yeah.
And of course, I'd adhere to anything they ask. If they want me to take it down, I take it down.
Well, let me also ask you that you had like a ton of stuff up there before they ever started their Letterman channel, right?
Right?
Is that stuff still up, or did you have to
Yeah.
take it down? Oh, so it's still
It is.
there.
It's
So
still
if
up.
people
Yeah.
go,
Everything is still up. There are a couple of little minor clips here and there that for lots of legal reasons they asked me to. Actually, they just asked me to. It was unlisted and asked me to put the private. I said, I'll let me just get rid of it. I'll delete it.
right?
But that was so minor.
Yeah.
Because it was unlisted, it got maybe
So if
four
people
views.
want your stuff, and a lot of times it's whole episodes.
Not many. Very few whole episodes. It's the compilations that people seem to like.
Yeah. Yeah. Where like this is a compilation of everything that was Shecky, as an example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I'm going to do for your pop-ups at some point once I
Yeah.
get it together.
Yeah. But
But I'm not going to put that up. One, I'm not going to put it up without your okay,
yeah.
and two, I'm only preparing it for you, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
But I would never put that up without.
Oh, you're more than welcome to. Okay, I give you my permission.
Okay, but I'll let you see it first. Once I do
Okay,
it.
I'll give you written permission if you want it. I will get my lawyers to send you a letter.
Can you email me some blood? That would be
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. But it's that you kept this whole idea of the Letterman shows alive on YouTube for years, and they should be grateful to you because now they started their own Letterman channel, and it made people want that material. You know.
I think they are, um, and I have nothing but a great relationship with them. I can't
Yeah.
complain about anything at least publicly,
Hmm.
um, as to how they've treated me.
You won't get him in trouble now because he's dead. But did Shecky help you at all?
Um, you're opening up a can of worms
Oh,
that just today I got
wait a minute, you just froze up on
permission
me.
to because
Hold on a second, you're just freezing up here.
I
Wait a minute. Hold on. You're freezing up. Hold on. Wait a minute.
I asked him,
Let me just pause this for a second, and we'll start up again. Anyway, what were you saying when I asked you the question about Shecky? You said that's opening up a can of worms. So
yeah, but I got the okay today to talk about it.
yeah.
Um, um, and it's I guess I don't know if it's a long I don't know how coherent I can be talking about this, but yes, Rick was an indispensable source for um, filling many voids in my late night collection.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Because he kept a lot of stuff. I mean, copies, not
yeah.
Yeah.
In it doesn't matter. In November of 16,
Hmm.
um, he loaned me. It was the first time he loaned me this stuff,
Hmm.
and he said that I'm sort of the late show's backup, and I decided that you, referring to me, is his backup,
Yeah.
and that's why he agreed to loan me all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So should anything happen to his collection, at least I had
Yeah.
nearly all of it.
Shecky was
Um,
very good at collecting that stuff. Do you know what? He had a whole copy of it, and he sent. Somewhere I have a copy of it. I don't know where it is, but every appearance of Darlene Love singing um, "Baby Please Come Home."
Christmas movie, yeah. I put up a compilation of that a couple years ago.
Yeah, yeah, and,
Um, uh,
and maybe he took your compilation and gave it to me. I don't know, but I
yeah, I
mean,
wish we could ask him.
it's interesting that it's people like you that keep things alive, you know, and that's important. I mean, when I first met Shecky, as an example, I met him and he took me down to Eighth Avenue. I think it was Eighth Avenue, maybe it was Ninth Avenue, and they would all meet in front of this film company,
Right.
and they would out of the back trunks of their cars trade films with each other, film cans with each other. Okay, this was before videotape was big.
Hmm.
Film cans. And I always and I got it. And when I got to know Shecky more, I got a greater appreciation of the people who had these films because it was illegal to have them. Okay, if you had a copy of, I don't know, Casablanca, let's say, on film, it was an illegal copy because it was either
Hmm.
copied or whatever. The only way you could get it usually was by renting it from the film company, and and at the same time, the film companies didn't care about their stuff, and it went into disrepair. And these people were saving them. I mean, they literally saved a whole history of film out of the trunks of their cars.
Right,
and
right.
and so I always considered the archivists, people like yourself, the hobbyist archivist, let's say, to be indispensable. I mean, I remember that NBC had a copy of Humphrey Bogart and his
Hmm.
television version of Petrified Forest.
Hmm.
The only problem was they had no audio for it. And I talked to Shecky. I said, "You hear about this? They had Petrified Forest, but they couldn't show it because they didn't have the audio." He says, "I got a copy downstairs with the audio." Okay, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And if
Yeah.
it hadn't been for people like Shecky, we wouldn't have that
You,
historically. What now? Now I don't have audio on you.
I'm just doing a bit.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah.
Um, you know what happened? I mean, it wasn't when Late Show ended in May 15.
Yeah.
They had a website that CBS had co-owned,
Mm-hmm.
and that included hundreds, maybe 1,000 Late Show clips. No late night clips because it wasn't their property.
Right.
Um, and after the show ended, uh, CBS had rescinded their rights. It was now all Worldwide Pants's property.
Mm-hmm.
But what CBS did, it took a few weeks, but they took down all of the clips while they still had the right to. They essentially shut down the site.
Mm-hmm.
And it occurred to me that all the stuff that was then accessible is no longer.
Yeah. Right.
And that's not right. And then uh, within a few weeks, someone at the show who's still working there um, was trying to find. There was a special on Late Show that Ray Romano had hosted a week or so before the last Late Show,
Mm-hmm.
um, and and this woman, she was responsible for paying the people who had appeared in these clips.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a number of clips that she couldn't find, so she reached out to me to help find her those clips. And the only reason she reached out to me is because there's no one else working at the show. And that's what it dawned on me that, I could maybe be useful in other ways in filling a void that had suddenly cropped up once the show had ended and all the clips had disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started to think about. I didn't do it for a few months to think about digitizing all the late nights. And while I was doing it, it occurred to me, this I need to share this stuff. I can't see this for my own enjoyment. This sounds so self-serving, and I don't mean it to be, but
Well, you're very interesting in that. For instance, anything you put up on YouTube, if you have enough viewers, you can monetize. Okay.
yeah, but I can't
You've chosen not to monetize any of the Letterman stuff.
because it wasn't my content, and it was one of the smartest things I've ever done, because had I monetized it, the people in charge, both NBC and Worldwide Pants, would have frowned upon that, and they would have had every right to, because it's not mine to make money off of.
Yeah, but
It's
there
their
are
content.
people on YouTube
Oh, yeah.
running copyrighted material and monetizing it.
That's their
And
issue.
I don't
not
know
mine.
how they get away with it. I have no idea how they get away with it.
Yeah,
I
but
was
that's,
wondering how you were getting away with what you were doing all those years, but
well,
you
perhaps
know.
because I was not profiting off of it. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, it certainly made you much more honest and
Yeah,
much more in the area of fan hobbyists, could we call it?
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's all I was. I don't pretend to be anything other than that. Um, I think I'm an okay amateur when it
Uh-huh.
comes to editing this stuff, because I don't have the
Well,
tools.
actually, I got to tell you, you're an expert. I mean, some of those edits, those
Um,
compilations you did were brilliant.
uh, Thanks, but I don't have the tools or the know-how to do the stuff that the Letterman channel is capable of doing.
Well, the Letterman
Um,
channel also has the masters available to them.
yeah,
Yeah.
and their quality is far
Now,
superior.
my
to
question is,
most.
because you've dealt somewhat with the Letterman people on this, how did they get a hold of the late night stuff? Because
I
that's owned by NBC, and
Right.
at least until a few years ago, they were not happy with each other.
I don't have the inside story,
Yeah.
and if I did, I'm not sure if I could share it. Um, all I know is that they've licensed. NBC has licensed late night to Letterman. Uh, what that entails, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Now
Sorry.
here's my big $64,000 question.
I accept PayPal.
Yeah, no. Which, in your opinion, after seeing almost every show Letterman ever did, what was better, late night or late show?
Um, I think about Beethoven, his early works and his later works. Um, they each have their particular appeal. You see the genesis of ideas and a genesis of development of his composing style,
Mm-hmm.
uh, or early Beatles and late Beatles.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
there's so yes, I particularly prefer the late nights. Only not only, but perhaps because uh, I would stay up watching and just marveling that this stuff is on the air. Um, and Barbara Gaines had this great quote when she was profiled on the Letterman channel a few weeks ago. She said, "On late night, we were kids playing TV, and once we got to CBS, we were grown-ups. We had to
Yeah,
play
that's
by
best. Very
grown-up
good.
rules."
Good way to describe it.
Yeah,
Good way to describe it. No question about
it's a different animal. Late Show.
it. Yeah.
There are elements of Late Show that I think retained the late night uh, um, uh,
Feeling.
uh,
Feeling.
feeling odor. um, and I don't think that ever went away. Um, but you know, I hate to pontificate, and so I'm not.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Yeah, I gravitate toward the NBC
okay,
shows.
now let me ask you an even more technical question. Who is better, pre-heart problem Dave or post-heart problem Dave? Because I notice a change.
Well, yeah, I mean
He didn't go out as much.
Yeah, he slowed down. He stopped going to rehearsals. He took maybe that meant taking care of himself or finding other priorities in his life other than the show. I don't know. He and I have never chatted, and I'm uncomfortable again pontificating. I just yes, I agree with you that there was a discernible difference.
Yeah.
Um,
So you have like almost three flavors of Dave in his history.
well, late night I always thought
It-
had a few errors of its own, ERA
Yeah.
errors. Um, and as did late, so it's not just three. It's maybe, I always kind of thought that the head writer helped shape the sensibilities of the show. At least on late night. I'm not sure about late show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tend to separate the errors by who was head writing the show.
Yeah, because you had two basic head writers on late night, and that was Merrill.
Right,
And then it was
Merrill,
Gerard
Jim
Mulligan.
Downey for a year, and then
Downey.
Steve O'Donnell, and
Yeah,
then Rob Burnett.
Oh, and Gerard Mulligan did the monologues, right?
He was also the segment producer. I'm not. Yeah, he did do the monologues, but but he also segment produced the show for much of the first half, or not the first half. The first 3 years he was doing double duty.
I just felt that late night was. You're right. I think she described it best. A bunch of kids playing television.
Yeah,
And
that
that's
they
what
felt no one was watching, and they didn't understand or not understand. They didn't abide by rules that they were never
well,
dictated.
that's what made it so refreshing.
Yeah,
That's what made it so interesting. Just amazing. I mean, that show went through so many different changes, and I know Dave hates the book The Late Shift by what was his name?
Bill Carter.
Bill Carter. But that book really is fascinating. And
yeah.
So was the made for TV movie that they made out of it, on HBO. That whole history is fascinating. The Letterman thing, the fact that Letterman to the end didn't really want to go over to CBS. He wanted the Tonight Show.
Right.
And it was Carson who finally told him, "Hey, it's not the Tonight Show anymore. It's been Leno's show for a year, and he spoiled it. Go over to CBS and have a good time."
That's all kind of. I mean, it's fascinating history. What mattered more to me was what we were watching as it was broadcast, and how these outside events would affect what we were watching.
Yeah.
Is Dave pissed because of what's going on, behind the scenes, and how is that reflected in his behavior on the show?
Yeah.
But it was the behavior on the show that was more interesting to me than what we think was going on behind the
Well, I've
scenes.
said this in the past about my own career, which certainly is nowhere near what Dave's became. But that, and I argued this with radio stations. I said, you've got to have a good mood in this radio station because people walk through that hallway into the studio, and then when they go on the air, whatever they felt going through that office plays itself on the air in some way, shape, or form that you may not notice. But if it's raining outside, you do a show differently than if it's sunny outside. It's just inherent, and the same is true with Letterman. I mean, whatever was going on behind the scenes manifested itself on the air.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that to me was the fascinating part. How is all that outside stuff reflected on the show?
I usually just, these interviews usually only go 25 minutes, and we've hit 25 minutes, and there's still
Okay, goodbye. Thanks.
a ton of questions that I want to ask you. But you know something, we can do that another time. I hope now that you're used to it, Don Giller.
Okay. I mean, we'll stop if you want to
why
stop.
would I want to talk to you? Yeah, I know.
And well,
I know.
that's what I'm thinking.
Little old you. Why would I want to talk to you? Because listen, all I got out of you. It's interesting.
Are you projecting, or that's what you're saying about yourself?
I mean, I say that about myself too.
Okay.
I've been in this business how many years? Since I was 14 years old, right?
Jeez.
And I'm now 83, and I still don't know why anybody would want to listen to me. And my wife agrees, by the way. Anyway, let's do this again, okay, Don?
Okay. No, thank you. I appreciate
and
it.
Stay where you are because I want to talk to you after we're through here.
All right.
That's Don Giller, ladies and gentlemen. Look for his name on YouTube.
Thanks, everybody.
Now in its 10th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
One of the more fascinating guys I know, and we replayed that interview because, quite frankly, I have no new interviews. Well, I have one in the can, but I'm too lazy to do them anymore. Jeez, I'm incorrigible. Anyway, I thank Don Giller, and the reason I played Don Giller also is because he was over to my house. He came to my house. And I know what you're saying, and you wanted more Don Giller? Yes, I can, as much as I can take. He's a fascinating guy. I was telling Marjorie that all the people who became, in most cases, my best friends were nerds. And kind of, you could call them oddballs, okay? I mean, Shecky was an oddball. Giller's an oddball, and I like him a lot. And I just have always gone for oddballs, mainly because I guess I'm a nerd myself, and I will die a nerd, and I'm glad I am a nerd. Okay, so anyway, I thought I would mention that. Well, there are people waiting to come on here tonight who want to talk because for some reason they enjoy being part of this program, and let me admit them all here if we can. All right, there they go. There's Alan, and there's Kevin is here, and Charlie is here. Hello to all of you. How are you this evening?
I'm doing good, thank you.
You're doing fine. How about you, Kevin? You doing fine?
Good. Check.
Well, good. Check. And Charlie, doing okay? Check.
Hanging in there.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so it's another day, and I don't have anything to talk about in particular,
How come you can always read Charlie's shirt, but I'm wearing a shirt, and I guess you got to sit a ways back from the camera to see it.
No, I think it's partially because his are so scientifically based, usually.
Well, mine are just sarcastic. If you read it.
I'm already visualizing you with duct tape over your mouth.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good shirt.
And trouble is, I sit too close to the camera.
And then I never see it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I got all kinds of shirts that say things. So anyhow.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, and yours tonight says, what is it, Charlie?
Well, that's not a good sign.
Okay, not as good as his shirt tonight, by the way. You know?
Yeah, Alan,
But you're right. You don't sit back far enough that I ever see your
Right.
T-shirt. You hardly ever see mine. You know, this
Right.
is
Oh well, we see you. You wear the same one week after week.
no. This one is new. I've been wearing this just for the last week or so. I just like it. You know, it makes me feel snuggled. You know, things like that. Hello there, Jeff. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
Jeff's down in Florida, right, Jeff? Wait a minute.
That must be why his voice is so far away.
Well, it's because he's got to put his earphones in. If he puts his earphones in, I think. Trying to figure out which. Huh?
Not your nose, your ear.
Wait a minute. There we go. Yeah, I got a pair of those too. Those apples, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. They're really good. Did you get the expensive ones that are also a hearing aid?
No.
I got the ones that are also a hearing aid in case my hearing starts to go. Everything else is, so I don't know why my hearing won't go next, you know. So
Same
anyway,
place.
yeah. So I made myself a fresh cup of coffee tonight, you know. So how are you all doing? Anything you want to talk about in particular?
well,
Yeah?
Musk is specific that he wants to end Social Security.
Who is?
Elon Musk.
Yeah, well, that's because
He's got $400 billion.
yeah, he doesn't care. He's never going to be able to do away with it. You can't do away with it. At
He's
least,
going to fire everybody that works for it, so effectively do away with it.
okay. Well, no, then we have trouble getting our checks. That's all. Okay.
Yeah.
And for Medicare to be taken care of, you know. But that's their problem, not mine. You know. But just get me those goddamn checks eventually.
Yeah.
But
We hope.
we hope. He can't do away with, they could do away with Social Security from this point onward. In other words, people who just sign up for Social Security because they're of age to, you know, start paying into Social Security, they could maybe stop it at that point. But they can't, they owe us that money. That's our money. We put that money in there.
We have a contract.
Yeah. And it was probably one of the best things ever invented. You know, FDR gave it to us.
Absolutely.
And then the thing that came along that was even better was Medicare, because that added to all the security that you started to get as you got older. But, you know, if Elon Musk doesn't care about old people, then we don't care about them either. And, you know, don't piss off old people because we have nothing to lose. Okay?
Got nothing better to do. Get them too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, I mean, you know, you want to talk about suicide bombers? Old people
Not today.
would probably willing to be, you know, what do you call it, bombers? What's the word I just used?
Kamikaze.
Kamikazes. Because they're not going to live that long anyway. So why not do it to a good purpose, you know?
That's right.
I don't know that
Life in prison means nothing to me.
I don't know that I wouldn't do it, you know? And say, okay, if I'm going to die, I may as well die and take a few of those assholes out with me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Come along for the ride.
And you guys are a little bit younger, don't have to worry about it yet. But when you get older, hopefully you'll follow our stead. I just think that,
Just thank us later.
you know, we've got to start making them afraid of the public. We've got to get them to start feeling that their lives are at stake and their well-being is at stake, because we are getting to a point here in this country where we don't have anything to lose, you know? And it's terrible. It's just terrible that anybody would think about even doing away with Social Security or doing away with Medicare or doing away with, what's the other care?
Medicare,
Medicaid.
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 You know, I mean, come on. What does a government do what's good is a government unless it takes care of its people.
Well, he just wants to take care of the rich people. He doesn't care about the poor people.
Well, I don't even think he wants to take care about the rich people. I think he wants to take care of himself.
Yep.
You know. Yes, Jeff.
Social Security people could extend their starting it. And the longer they wait, the numbers on the monthly money that you get goes up and up and up, which was a great idea for certain people.
Yep.
But now it's another opportunity for Trump to take care of it
Yep.
and ruin
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Well, Trump has said that he doesn't want to do away with Social Security, that he has no intention of it. So whatever Musk says doesn't necessarily go. You know, so maybe we can appreciate that. Maybe Trump saying he's old and he knows how old people feel and they need the money. You know,
He's just letting him do his dirty work. That's all.
That's right.
He's fucking up there. He's
Yeah,
telling him what to do.
well,
If
I'm
you
sure
think
if he told
Musk,
if
if you think Musk is doing it on his own, quote unquote, that's bullshit. I
Yeah.
don't let anybody do anything on his own.
I think if they told Musk not to do it, if he told Musk not to do it, Musk would not do it.
Right.
Unless
But he
maybe
can
Musk,
also say, do it privately and then not do it publicly. And then when it's all fucked up, he blames it on Musk.
Isn't it amazing that we're here discussing an individual who, to begin with, was never elected to any office, was never appointed to any office, and is still sitting there making major decisions that are impactful on our lives?
He was assigned. That's it.
Hmm?
He was assigned to do that.
Yeah. But why? And what he's taken on himself is he's going around firing people like crazy. Now, of course, the courts are now turning all that around. All these people that were let go because they were what are they called? Interns.
Probationary or whatever.
What?
Probationary employees.
Probationary employees. The courts just came out today saying you can't fire them. You know, you just can't. And it was a scam to think that you could. And so all those people have to be given their jobs back.
Yeah, the USDA is right down here, down the road, 15 minutes for the agriculture around here.
Yeah.
And a bunch of those people got laid off, and now they're told to go back, and they're almost going, why? Because we're just going to get turned around and sent home again.
Yeah. I mean,
They don't know what to do.
Well, I think also there's something.
Most of them will just go back and then wait.
You know, what I've said about companies is you don't want to have mass firings. And the reason you don't want to have mass firings is because what are you saying to your employees except that you have no loyalty?
Right.
All right? And so what does it say to these government employees who thought, hey, their job was pretty solid, but it's not anymore? And, you know, I mean, they're going to go back in, and maybe if they're only there for a month, they'll be sure to trash the place before they leave. I mean, is this the way Trump ran his companies? I think that it is.
It
Well,
does.
that's why they were bankrupt.
Yeah, yeah.
He's running the country like a company, like we've said many times before.
Well, as I've said before, you can't run the country like
you
a
can't.
like a company because they're two entirely different things, and they have two entirely different functions. The government is in service, supposedly, of the people, whereas companies are pretty much in service to themselves. You know, and it's a whole entirely different way of running a company. Yes, a country, rather.
If there's any good news, Tesla stock is down 32% in the past month.
Is it that much? I thought it was more.
No, it's down in the past month. I'm looking at it here. It's down to $240.
Well, add to that the fact that in Europe, they're down about 40% in sales.
Yeah.
And here in America, I think it's something like 30%, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Here in the Bay Area, Tesla dealers are complaining that nobody's coming in to buy the cars.
Well, the reason is that in California was probably his biggest place for selling Teslas. All right.
Probably.
In fact, here in Manhattan, I very rarely see a Tesla. Okay. East Coast is not Tesla country for a number of reasons. Number one, cold weather stops the electricity from working as long. In fact, if you get some freezing temperatures, you'll go out in the morning and your battery will be drained. Okay. So this isn't a good idea here. But in California, I understand practically every other car you see on the road is a Tesla. And they were very good at selling Teslas there. But do you think people, when their Teslas are getting old and they want to get a new car, do you think they're going to get another Tesla? No. And what do you think that Tesla they're going to get rid of right now is worth? Because of the bad,
Not a lot.
the bad, how can I call
Publicity.
it? Bad publicity that he's got.
Reputation, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what kind of an idiot Musk is, but he had the world by the ass.
Yeah.
And then all of a
They
sudden,
also. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I was going to say, it looks like he's trying to self-destruct.
Yeah, like the pillow guy did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a good
Yeah,
example.
did you hear about him? Mike Lindell's being sued by FedEx for $9 million of freight charges that he's never paid.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Typical Republican, huh?
And then there's one before that. There's another freight company that he was shipping all his
Yeah,
free stuff.
it was. I think it was UPS.
DHL.
DHL. Okay.
I used to work for DHL.
By the way, I made a mistake yesterday. I was talking about the fact that these prisons that what do you call it? Has set up that they've set up for ICE.
Concentration camps?
I said it was in one of the big ones was in Florida. It isn't. It was Louisiana, and it
Big one in
is.
South Texas,
It
too.
is out in the middle of nowhere. So that if they want to get a lawyer has to travel 100 miles to get to them.
Wow.
You have to spend hours on the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they're kind of on their own, you know. But we
They were
have
also
some.
saying, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, they were also saying about Musk and his car company that he's the only car company that has driven vehicles into the ground, literally, since opening up their business. You know, so Ford, GMC, all of them have always made money. This is the worst. It's like 50%. He's turned his company from 100% to 50% in a month or two.
Yeah. Well,
In
you
the
know.
local news here, Tesla's in the city I live in. And in the local news here, somebody lined up 6 brand new Teslas in the parking lot and set them all on fire.
Well, you know, this is going to happen. I don't like to see people do that to people who own Teslas because what did
these
they?
were these were
Not
brand
their
new.
fault.
Nobody
I know,
owned them.
but people who have Teslas are getting them keyed,
Yeah,
they're getting the windows smashed, and those people didn't do anything wrong. They made a mistake and they bought a Tesla a year ago and they didn't know it would come back to bite them in the ass today.
Yeah, they were
A
trying
lot
to do
of those
something
people
right.
in the Bay Area are Democrats that bought that, and so they voted for Kamala, not for Trump.
Yeah, but
You know, I could see I don't know, Austin's pretty Democrat too, but I mean, I could see in Texas or someplace like that where there's a lot of Republicans that own Teslas, but you know, they were building them here like crazy, and you see them all over. I mean, I live in a cul-de-sac, and 3 of my neighbors out of the 10 houses have Teslas in their driveway.
See how many are down here. They all commute to San Jose,
I'm sure.
so they all got electric cars.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's a good, you know, it's a good idea. Of course, there are. It's not
Yeah,
as
but
though
that's why they bought it. It's a good idea.
it's
what
not
it was.
as though there aren't other electric automobiles, and
Right.
probably better. I'll tell you why better. I have ridden in a Tesla here in Manhattan when I took a lift, right? And I found them to be, I love the panel, you know, the thing that shows
Display.
all the people walking across the street and all that stuff, you know. The iPad, or it's not an iPad, but it pretty much could be.
Yeah.
And I like that part of it, but I was overwhelmed by what a cheesy automobile it is, so far as the interior is concerned.
Plastic.
Yeah, it's plastic. It's cheap. It's cobbled together, but the electric part of it is a terrific deal, and the front display is, to me, exquisite, and you could actually pretty much drive that car, let it drive itself. Trump's what's his name, Musk, when he had his used car sale in front of the White House the other day, was saying, well, we're coming up with a new one. And I said, what kind of new one is he coming up with? He's coming up with a new car, according to him, that has no steering wheel, has no accelerator, has no brake. It's entirely self-driving. Would you get into one of those?
No.
Now, maybe I'm an old-fashioned guy, but I just don't think,
They got aircraft that are doing that.
See, if every other car on the road was the same car, or a car compatible with that car, then I could see it, okay? Because then they all give way to each other, and they're all aware of each other and so on. But, put them out there with... an old Cadillac that's ready to plow into you, and I'm sorry, it's not going to do very well.
Go look up.
Oh, sorry.
What were you going to say? No, Kevin, what were you going to say?
I just said go look up Joby on the internet and see what they got. A friend
Joby?
of mine works for them. Joby, Joby.
What's Joby?
Unmanned flying taxis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh,
Yep. Get your app, and they're supposed to be out next year.
Oh,
Get an app. You punch in where you want it to pick you up, and it's probably got certain spaces right now. You get inside the thing, no pilot, tell it where you want it to go, and it takes you there and drops you down.
so I got in.
It's like a drone.
I got in a car, a taxi in San Francisco 2 months ago. It had no driver.
Oh, the
And
Waymo.
on the dash, it had a plaque and it said, "My name is Sam," because the car company can talk to you, and they say Sam wants to ask you a question.
Was that one of those, what was it? What's the name of the company?
The Waymo.
Waymo?
Waymo? They're all over San Francisco. So
Got them all over
I thought,
Scottsdale.
okay, I'll try it. We went through a red light 2 blocks into my drive, almost ran over 3 girls that had the right of way in a crosswalk, and literally came within inches of sideswiping a police car. I said, Sam, could you please drop me off at the next corner? And they said, sure. Is there something wrong with the ride? I said, no, just drop me off at the next corner. I got a regular taxi. I'm like, screw this shit.
Yeah, well...
Sam's gonna kill me.
Yeah, well, I mean, they haven't got that down that well yet, But I
They're
am
all over
amazed.
San
I'm amazed
Francisco.
when I've seen the display in the Tesla, where it shows everybody that's walking across the street and all the people walking down the sidewalks, and it's pretty accurate,
It is, but you could probably see all that by looking out the windshield too.
No, but what I'm saying is that's what the car is seeing.
I've been in a Tesla. I know what they're like.
And supposedly Teslas have something like 19 cameras or something, large amount of cameras. But fact of the matter is, there are other cars that are like electric Cadillacs. Certainly much plusher, much nicer inside, much sturdier built than a Tesla is. I mean, I'd hate to be in a Tesla and crash into anything.
My kid has a Jeep Exploration, something like that. They bought this thing, and he brought it over to me one day after they bought it. And literally, the whole front of the dash, all the way across, you can actually put a fire in it, like you got a fire going in the fireplace.
Wow,
Yeah.
ain't that cool?
Yeah, it's crazy. There's
Trouble
all
is,
kinds of
you plug in 3 of those, and the power goes out in Hollister.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
see,
he's
I
out in
think
Central Valley, so-
the displays are fine. Only, I mean, and call me old fashioned. I mean, I haven't driven a car in 15 years. But I think I'd be a little disorganized with one of those.
You'd be
You know.
surprised that, a lot of them got a lot of stuff, but they're just as easy to work as your iPad.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine, but I'm
And
driving a car.
I think you'd get along fine with it.
I'm driving a car. I'm not driving an iPad.
Yeah, but you get along fine with figuring it out.
I probably could, but take somebody my age who isn't,
Well, yeah, that's another story.
into computers and stuff, and they get behind the wheel of one of those cars, and they're, the one thing that kind of got to me the last time I got into a
One thing to
car
say about Jeff.
was that it didn't you didn't put a key in it. You just pushed a button to start it. That was
Yeah,
a whole new thing for me because I always liked having the thing you turned in the steering wheel. But those are gone, aren't they?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the cars
Just carry
now-
around a fob in your pocket and push a button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can start the car on a cold day and let it warm up for 5 minutes in your driveway before you get in it and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hyundais, if you're parked in a parking spot and it's somebody parks too close where you can't open the door and ding the other car, you can summon the car to back out of that spot so you can get into it.
Wow, that's cool.
Okay.
Push
but-
a button on it and it'll back up, a couple of car lengths. And
Those
then you can get in
Koreans
your
are
car.
Smart.
I think the day is going to come when we're going to say, how did the guy who came up with Tesla and SpaceX and Starlink, I think it's called, how did this guy wind up losing everything? And the answer is going to be, look at it. It's an
He
interesting
got too
history.
close to Donald Trump.
Yep.
He flew too close to the sun,
Yeah.
and
Let's hope so.
well, I mean, I see it happening. I mean, yeah, he's got right now. He's only. I think he's down to about $300 billion. I
Yeah,
mean,
he lost. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I watched an interview with him on YouTube yesterday, I think it was, with him and there was a guy over there on Fox Business, Ludnett. No, that's the
you're talking about the former
Ludlow.
Ludlow, the former Secretary of the Treasury. Yeah,
was he a former secretary?
Mhm.
I guess probably
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
yeah, under
That
Trump.
interview was. You look like he was interviewing a third grader.
Yeah.
It was.
There
it
was
like-
one point I saw part of it, and there's one point where they were kind of just staring at each other.
Yeah. Towards the end, they were just kind of going, "Yeah, okay. What are you gonna say
Ludlow
next?"
couldn't believe anything he was saying.
Yeah.
But it was like Ludlow didn't want to say anything against him because he didn't want to get Trump mad at him.
Right. And it's like I'm just sitting there going, "What has this guy got on these people? They all got pictures of them and farm animals or something. I don't know, but it's like these people are just kowtowing to this guy.
Oh, we know
No matter
we
what
know
he
what Putin
does or doesn't say.
We know what Putin has on Trump. It's the pee pictures,
Yep.
So
I thought Putin also had a dog leash around Trump's neck. He could walk him in the neighborhood.
yeah. But it's
I don't know. It's sure a mess. With getting back to Social Security for just a minute.
Mhm.
Probably some of us on the show could live a few months while they sorted it out without Social Security. There are people that are on the show.
Well, I could have. I don't know if I can now with all the money he's lost me in the last week.
Yeah, I know that feeling too. My
Yeah, I looked again.
stock market not doing too good. But yeah, you and I and some of the other people on the show could probably do without it. Some people use it to pay their rent. I just mentioned he brings it up himself. It's Charlie, and so I'm not bringing up anything unusual, but there's a lot of people in this country that will be in the same predicament Charlie is. They put that money in there, knowing that they would get it back.
Yep.
When they retired, because it's their money. We put the money in, and they planned on using it until they die or whatever happens. And now Trump's going to take it away. How many people do you think are going to be homeless?
Millions.
It's sure millions of people. Absolutely.
He's looking at the immediate result, not the down the road result.
Of course.
Because everything he does and everything he's done so far is immediate, and it shows, oh, look, we saved $300 million here and $100 billion here and $1 billion there and $1 billion here. Look at me, I'm doing good. But when you get down 4 years from now, after he's fucked everything up and somebody's got to fix it,
It's
or
gonna-
before that, if he does it in his third year, he's going to say, "Oh, look what I did! I fixed everything."
I think the next president, hopefully he's a Republican, a Democrat. God, hopefully he's a Democrat. I think he's really got a job cut out for him. That wouldn't be a job I would want, because he's got to fix a lot of this crap that Trump's. Look at Trump. He's only been in office 2 months, and look at all the shit he's screwed up.
Well, that's what worries me. How much he's still got? How many more years in office? How much can he screw up this country?
Yeah.
People got to wake up, and I think they're starting to.
And what can we do to stop him? Well, one of the things we can do to stop him is in the midterms get a Congress that's on our side.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, well, I think part of the reason Kamala lost is the Democrats can't find one foot versus the other.
Well,
You know,
hopefully they've got 2 years to find it. Okay.
Yeah, well,
You know.
hopefully they will.
Well, I don't have much.
History usually, the second term around also puts the opposing party in charge of Congress.
Well, history does, but that what I'm saying here is that the Democrats have to get it together. And one of the first ways to
Absolutely.
get it together is to get rid of Chuck Schumer. In other words, shut him up. Just tell him to go sit over in the corner and shut the hell up and let us take care of business.
Yep.
All right? You know. That's the best way you can handle it.
That's what happens when you put a Jew in the Senate. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, stop it.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, but you know, it's just I don't know. It's very depressing, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. And I hate to say it, but it's true, and that is that, and people don't like it when I say it, but you know, when you say that violence doesn't do anything. The fact is, it does. I mean, if you look at the black movement in this country, when it was violent, people started to listen.
Yep.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I'm not saying violence is good. I don't agree that violence should be used to do anything. But when violence is the only currency this country understands,
Yep.
then maybe it calls for it. You know.
But Trump said on the news the other day that, you notice since I've been in office, school shootings have been 0. I'm like, isn't that great?
Have they?
What about all the other shit you're screwing up?
I don't think it has anything to do with him.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think the planes have anything the accidents have anything to do with him. They will in time because he's firing all the air traffic controllers, but the first couple planes that crashed right after he got in office, I mean, it would have happened anyhow.
Well, let's blame it on him anyway, because he blames everything on Biden.
Absolutely.
You know. I mean, you just gotta you gotta say, hey, hey, he's in office now. He's got to take the. Every time he gets on to give a speech, it's always It's just moments before he starts using the name Biden.
Yep.
Oh, that's the way the economy was under Biden. Well, it
No, it
wasn't. Hey, my stocks were doing real well under Biden.
Absolutely. Mine too.
My stocks were doing very well under Biden.
Yep.
And he's not doing anything to help. He's certainly pissing off the people who have money and do have stocks. There are people who don't have stocks, but they have nothing, and he's not helping them either.
Nope.
He's taking out all the support programs that they rely on because they don't have money.
Yep.
Like, what do you call it? What's the other thing besides Medicare? Medicaid.
Medicaid.
So I mean, he.
There's a lot of older people that don't have money that their housing, their medical is paid by Medicaid.
Yep. And
So, what are they going to do? Roll them out in the street and say, tough luck?
oh, you're going to have a country where you have the very rich and the very poor, and there's going to be nothing in between.
Absolutely.
There's going to be nothing in between. And when that happens, violence will be the answer.
Absolutely.
Okay? Because once those people start getting frightened that their asses might get hurt, as a result of all of this. They'll start doing something about it.
Yep.
But they won't do anything. You know, today here in New York, they had a major demonstration that took place for that Columbia student who was then picked up by ICE and sent down to Louisiana in front of it. I think it was, and then they either called his wife or it was in front of his wife. They went to his home and they grabbed him, and she's pregnant and is going to have a baby in a month. And he is due to graduate in another month.
They don't care.
And now all of a sudden, because Trump says we're taking money away from Colombia, they're starting to take action against all the people who appeared in the demonstrations. And how long ago was that? 2 years ago?
Yeah.
2.5 years ago? So, I mean, all of a sudden they're kowtowing. So people do not give money to Columbia University. And I mean, it's just horrible what's happening. But anyway, today, a bunch of them went in and demonstrated in Trump Tower. Went into Trump Tower and started demonstrating. Well, what do you think they did? Do you think they maybe said, Trump said, lay off of them, let them just protest and eventually they'll leave? Or did they go around arresting people?
They arrested him.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
They ran out of plastic cuffs, you know. I mean, it was, you know, and that would have been the way to handle it, you know. So they want to sit down in the lobby, let them sit down in the lobby. So they want to chant, let them chant. Eventually, you know, the building's going to close down. They're going to have to leave, you know, and they're not destroying any property or doing anything like that. So why not just let them protest? Isn't that what America is about? Can't you protest?
You can.
And by the way, Trump Tower has an open door in the front, okay? It's not like they're saying, stay out, this is private property.
It's open to the public.
Open to the public, yeah. So they can all go and worship the golden escalator. So, I mean, what do we do about all of this? It's just amazing. It's just amazing.
It's very
There's
scary.
a lot of products that we were developing. That's you know, real research, like for medical
Mhm.
things, and they're taking that away.
Yeah.
Well,
They're firing CDC and FDA scientists. People
right.
that are studying drugs and vaccines and stuff like that. Goodbye.
Yeah.
We don't need you anymore.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
terrible.
Yeah, sure is.
Just terrible. So, I mean, what are we going to do? You know, nothing we can do. The only thing we can do is we can protest. We can get together and we can go to Trump Tower and go into the lobby and protest and do things like that piss people off, but it's not going to piss anybody off but those people who, you know, are really pro-Trump, and there are less of those every day. You know, the very people that he got votes from are already, and we're only a month and a half in, or almost 2 months in, are having buyer's remorse. You know, and going, why did I vote for this guy? Well, why did you vote for that guy? You have to ask yourself that question.
A lot of senior citizens in southern states, Florida, Mississippi, stuff like that, that voted for him because they thought he was going to do good by them, and now he's going to take their Social Security and their Medicare and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of these people were like, "Oh my God, what the hell did we do?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sorry. You were stupid. And the only problem with you being stupid is we have to suffer by your stupidity.
We had a test run 4 years ago. We got to see what an idiot he was. You put him back in office.
Well, he didn't have, I'll tell you what he didn't have back then, I don't think. He didn't have handlers. Okay?
Yeah.
I think he's got people who are calling the shots. And he's simply going with them. I think there is a plot to literally take over this country by some kind of third, I won't call it a third world, but by a dark, what's the word I'm looking? I'm just so out of it today. a dark
Group of people.
government, a dark government that is literally running him because he doesn't believe this crap. You know, I mean, is he that stupid that he believes this stuff? I think the problem is he's that egotistical that he refuses to say when he's made a mistake. And that's because of, who was it, Roy Cohn, who taught him, you never admit a mistake.
Nope.
Never admit you were wrong. So consequently, the whole stock market is falling down around our ears, okay? It is a bad, really bad situation that could be fixed if he simply said, sorry, folks, I guess I was wrong. Let's do away with these tariffs for a moment. Let's revisit them. Okay?
Every time he pulled the tariffs, the market went back up.
Yeah, but it was only for a few minutes, and then it went right back down. The other problem he's got, the worst thing about him is this waffling. You know? I mean, 1 minute he's for tariffs, then he's bringing them back, then he's putting more tariffs on. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Nope.
He has no idea. And because there's some people right next to him, whenever he's signing these things, you know, these executive orders, there's somebody there telling him what's in the executive order.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Really.
He doesn't know what he doesn't know what he's signing. He has no idea.
There be the big corporation in him. He just sits there and waits for shit to come to him and says, "Okay, you guys all check this out, right? Good. Okay, good. I'm signing it."
He's not proactive.
It's all those people that are sitting behind him, like you say, it might be running his ass.
Yeah.
I think it is. I mean, one night I
It's
got
entirely possible with this guy. I don't put it past
Marjorie went out and got these pills that have THC in them. And so I took one. I said, what the hell? It was a Saturday. I had nothing to do, or Sunday. I had nothing to do for the rest of the day, so I'll take one. And I took it, and it got me really stoned. And it also got me a little paranoid because at the same time I was watching MSNBC and I was seeing what Trump was doing that day. And I was saying to myself, this is as though there's a third wheel here who is operating Trump and having him do this so they can maybe make more money off the stock market because they know when it's going to ebb and flow, because they know when he's going to do stuff and not do stuff. And they're trying to completely demolish the democracy so they can take a good hold on it. I think if you let this guy keep going for the next 4 years at the rate he's going, we're not going to have a government anymore. We're not going to have
working tools. Working tools.
We are?
I said tools, working tools. I've been saying that for months.
Yeah.
They just sit around and they're going to say, "Oh yeah, look, Donnie, you can do this for us. Okay, we'll go to your inauguration. Okay, we'll do this for you. We'll do that for you."
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, they're getting richer. They're getting tax breaks. The whole thing. And he sits there and acts like, "See what I'm doing for you."
Yeah.
And everybody's falling by the wayside.
Price eggs are high. About 80% of the car tires that we get in this country are made where? In Canada, with these top tariffs. I get Michelin tires for my van, and they all say made in Canada. I mean,
he is still
steel and aluminum.
I'll tell you what else he's
steel and aluminum.
I had to buy some steel today.
I'll tell you else they're doing today is he is so set on this whole idea of Canada being the 51st state.
Oh, shit.
Okay, and Greenland, buying Greenland, that, there are a lot more important things than that to deal with right now.
Right.
Okay? These are not important things. But yet he's going, we wouldn't be doing a tariff right now if Canada was the 51st state.
Can you imagine the guy telling him that, hey, go tell him you're going to buy Canada. Hey, go tell him you want Greenland too. Okay. Go out there and we're going to buy Canada. We're going to buy Greenland.
Well, what happened was
these guys are sitting in the background laughing their asses off.
Canada,
money.
The Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau last week before he left office said this whole tariff thing may be one of the stupidest ideas ever.
Yep.
Okay. And then today, the Wall Street Journal, who was owned by Rupert Murdoch,
Right. It's conservative.
said, this may be the stupidest idea ever, and we're being nice when we say it's the stupidest.
Yep.
This
It's not
was
even worse saying stupid. It's worse than stupid.
It's worse than stupid. When you've got the Wall Street Journal saying this about you, I mean, come on, that's Rupert Murdoch. He helped put you in office.
Absolutely.
You know, it's just not. It's not.
It's like listening to drugs.
And this is a guy who is not going to listen to anybody. He's not going to look at the, and he used to say, I love, the stock market's great under me and how great the stock market is doing and the stock market this and the stock market that. And then now he's saying, well, I don't care what the stock market says.
I don't really look at it.
I really don't look at it.
It's not
Oh,
that
you
important.
don't? You don't?
It'll change. It'll
But see,
go.
what I mean is, I'm sorry.
Good. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rick. Go, Jeff.
Yeah, I was just saying. He just said, "Well, it's changing, and it'll be fine pretty soon."
Okay, do you think there's any chance that along the way somehow Trump is going to get a sudden epiphany and he's going to realize what he's doing wrong and try and right it? Or do you think it's just going to be like this for the next 4 years, in which case somebody get me a gun, I want to put it in my mouth?
So I think you better get that gun. So the S&P 500, which doesn't move much compared to the NASDAQ and the Dow, the S&P 500 is down to 5,521. When he took office, it was around 6,000. It was like 5,995 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the stock market's not going down, not at all.
No, he doesn't say it's not going down. He just says, I don't pay attention to that.
Well, good, we do.
Yeah.
He needs to be the president for the country, not for himself.
We're losing Charlie.
I'm sorry. I was umpiring tonight.
I know. You know what I did? I take this pill at night. It's Tylenol nighttime, and it kind of puts me to sleep, right? It doesn't have anything terrible in it. It's not a drug. I think it's probably something like antihistamine or whatever, which is not, you take that and you'll just turn into a pile of dust, and that's about it. So about around, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I close my eyes and I fall asleep for about an hour. While I'm asleep, Marjorie is recording me snoring.
Put that on YouTube on your little channel, like you're walking in the park.
I said, Marjorie,
a lot more people watching it.
I said, to begin with, Marjorie, that's invading my privacy. I said, and secondly, of course I'm going to snore when I'm lying on my back. If I lie on my side, you even admitted I don't snore. So you're taking advantage of me while I'm snoring.
Don't you wish? Don't you wish he was taking advantage of you while you were snoring?
Yeah, right. But anyway, so that was my big thing for today, Oh, however, Charlie has never snored. That's huh?
Oh,
That's
that's
'cause
sleeping on my back.
It's because he's got Skittles in his hand.
No, but I mean sitting there doing the show. You don't.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway.
So far, anyway.
Unlike, on Jack's show, Mike Allen used to nod out all the time.
Yeah.
He would snore.
Yeah.
He'd leave the damn mic on.
Did we finally decide he's dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I was in Sacramento and I drove by his house because I had his address, and it hadn't looked like the lawn or the dirt, whatever you want to call it, had been mowed in a long time. And I knocked on the door, nobody came to the door, and I looked over the fence, and there were tall weeds, and I was going to walking back to my van, and a police car came by, and I said, do you have any idea what's going on with this guy? He says, I don't work this area. I'm just driving through this good coffee place down the street. Why don't you knock on some of the neighbors' doors and find out, or hop the fence and go in the backyard? I'm like, I'm not going to trespass. This guy was on a talk show that we're on, and we're just all curious. So I go over. The first lady I get to is some older lady that's, I don't know, in her late 70s, early 80s. She said, "Oh, they hauled them off about 3 months ago in an ambulance, and I haven't seen them since." So,
Wow.
Well, that
I don't know.
explains it all.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if he's in a home. I don't know if he's dead. I don't know what.
I don't think he's in
I
a
do
home.
look up his address on Zillow from time to time, and the house hasn't been sold. Of course, in the condition it was in, they had to peel all the cigarette smoke off the walls.
Yeah.
I always liked the drape behind him in there. It was, I guess, white at one time, but it had so much cigarette smoke in it.
But I mean, the question is, I mean, if he were alive, somehow, did he own that house?
He claimed to.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I left a business card that had my name and phone number, which he already knew, but I left it on his door and said, "Mike, please call me. We're concerned about you." And never heard anything from anybody. So
yeah. No, I'm sure he's gone.
he claimed he had double pneumonia the last like week or so of Jack's show. And Jack got pissed at him and said, "Come on, speak up already. I asked you a question." I said, "Jack, when you have double pneumonia, even if you have just pneumonia, single pneumonia, it's hard to catch your breath and speak up." I
That's
mean,
true.
Yeah.
Jack didn't, rest in peace, Jack, but Jack didn't give him much of a break either.
It's funny. The other day, I'd almost forgotten that Jack died.
Yep.
Yeah, just so never heard from him pretty
He
much.
should've- he never contacted you and told you he was quitting the show.
He never called me to quit the show.
You
Yeah.
just stopped, huh?
He found out from one of your listeners, me.
Yeah, either that or he told Amy.
I think he kind of turned it over to her, didn't he? And
He
then
kind of turned
then
it
you
over to
figured
her.
it out.
Yeah,
He just tapped out.
yeah. So I mean, I just that kind of disappointed me because I've always been a friend of his and for a long time and whatever. But I don't know why he decided, to suddenly not tell me that he was quitting.
I don't know. He told me, and I told you on the show one time, and you said, "God, I've known this guy for 40 years, and I didn't even hear it from him yet."
Yeah, I deserve
I
to hear
figured
it.
he'd get around to it, and then a month later, I asked you. You said, "Nope, haven't heard anything."
And I did get an email from him or a message or text or whatever a little later on, and it didn't say much of anything. It had to do with something he wanted me to check on or something like that, And I'm just going, gee, this is just weird, And I felt bad that I really hadn't had the ability to talk to him before he went,
Yep.
I would have liked to have done that at least,
We used to talk on the phone a couple times a month, and so I missed that. He'd call me and say, "Hey, what's up?" And that type of stuff, and we'd talk. And he'd tell me about all the business ventures he's in and how he's going to get all these big radio stations doing better business and stuff. And I'm knowing that he's not going to be able to do all this stuff, but I went along with it. I didn't challenge him on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I tried to convince him of something that's a reality, and that is, I said, you want to get into radio again? It doesn't exist anymore,
No.
So
He was going to teach radio stations how to do a good job again. I guess he did that many years ago.
yeah, well, that's fine, but they don't really care about doing a good job anymore. They just care about maximizing profits with as little crew as is possible to have working the station.
Yeah.
In fact, most of these radio stations don't even have people working at them. All those voices you hear are voice tracked from other cities. It's pretty
That's probably
terrible.
how Fox News has become so popular.
What?
I'm joking. I said that's probably how Fox News has become so popular.
Oh,
There's
fine.
no brains talking.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, there's no radio any longer.
I like that chair that Jeff was sitting in. I like that material.
The
I know he's visiting Florida, but boy,
No, that is
just
nice
sent me that
material,
chair.
isn't it? That is kind of an interesting chair. I don't think that's his chair, though. I think it came furnished. We'll have to ask him when he comes back.
is he staying with a relative or in a
No,
condo?
no, they're renting down there, I think.
Yeah.
I believe, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I can never tell where he is anymore. Or any of you.
He's been down there about a month, hadn't he?
Couple of months, I think.
Yeah.
He's one of those snowbirds now, that go down there during the winter, get away from the cold. And I would think about that myself. But if I was going to go anywhere to beat the cold, I'd go to California. Beat the cold,
Yep.
not Florida.
That's for sure.
God, Florida. Wait a minute. Oh, here he comes again. I think he's coming back.
For you and Marjorie.
You had to go to the bathroom, huh?
What's this?
He's bringing urine samples.
Oh, no, it's his bill case, isn't it?
Though I have one of
I know
those.
what
I have
it
one
is.
of those, but it's a month's worth.
I had to take pills. I forgot about it.
I have a question for you, Jeff. The chair you're
Sure.
sitting in. We were admiring the material. Seriously, I think it's neat.
But you didn't furnish the house, right?
No, we rent this
Okay.
place for months. And
I would
a friend
love to
of
have
ours-
like a dining room set made out the chairs made out of that material. That's very nice.
Yeah, it is pretty nice. The best part is you're right by the ocean here. So you
And
can look-
it's not as cold as Connecticut, is it?
no, no. And
Well, it isn't
yeah.
cold up here now that much. It's kind of like it's in the 50s now.
yeah. And what was it about 6 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago? I got a call from my doctor saying your pacemaker has got to be changed because somebody found out that people are dying from this device. And I says, well, when I get back to Connecticut, it'll be okay and we'll do it then. He goes, no, why don't you come tomorrow or the next day?
Wow.
Yeah, so I had to go there one time. And
They put a
Get a
new
new
pacemaker. And how easy is that for them to do?
oh, for them, it's pretty easy.
For you.
I mean, does it require any amount of time in a hospital?
No,
No.
not real. I mean, you're in a hospital. But yeah, I didn't even have to take my pants off or
Yeah.
anything like that. Just have to,
Look
That's
who's
kind of a weird place to have a
look who's
pacemaker.
here, ladies and gentlemen.
Ah,
Oh, it's Don.
Don Giller, who started off the show tonight because we played the interview I did with him again.
Yeah,
That
I
was a
mean,
good interview, by the way, Don.
you're
royalty
officially out
check
of
will be-
thirsty guests.
Your royalty check will be in the mail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
You have no more guests to interview on Thursdays.
I
You're
just,
running these repeats.
well, I'm just too lazy to do it.
He was tossing a coin between you, Don, and Phil Meyer.
I take Phil.
I'd take Don.
Do you have anything quickly to say, Don? Because the theme is playing.
Okay, tell Marjorie I left my wallet under her pillow.
Okay, all
Good
right.
night now.
Fine. Good.
Thank you.
It's just nice to know. Anyway, you got to come back again. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I emailed you about for your earlier message,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Yeah.
it means another 25-minute walk. and
Well,
that's
I'm
not
going to
gonna
go through a bunch of these other hard drives and see what's
Yeah.
on them as well. So,
happen. I've already exhausted my social activity for this year, and it's only March.
Anyway, thank you very much, Alan, for being with us tonight, as well as Charlie, and as well as Kevin and Jeffrey, and of course, for spending at least the first half hour and the last 30 seconds of the show with us, Don Giller. Everybody wave goodbye, and I'll wave goodbye at you, okay? There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel. There they go. Okay, right up next is Amy Emanuel. She'll be here with The Intersection. She'll be taking your calls on Skype at Gabnet Live, okay? In the meantime, I'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, Tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.